Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I want to welcome you here today. Yes, we're back. 2019 is here, and we are excited to be back here in the good old chair to be able to talk sports with you. Lots of things have happened over the last couple of weeks, but we're going to share what's happened in the last week for you. We have a couple of milestones that were hit. One is Sam Smith from Greenfield High School. She got 1,000 points in basketball. And a guy by the name of Doug Hanieski from the Greenfield High School hockey team. He now has 100 points in his career. How great is that? So we'll talk about those two and much more. Want to thank our sponsors, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's, the Tavern and Restaurant on Avenue A in Turners Falls. Thank you to our producer, John Meisner and Philippe Simone, and our staff here at GCTV. Also want to thank Chris Collins down at the FCAT. You can enjoy our show, fcat.tv, and of course, gctv.org. You can get to us 24/7. And of course, we are also local the way it should be. Why don't we get started here with our show here, going back to last Monday, where the Mohawk Trail Regional High School basketball team picked up a statement win as they ended up beating Smith Academy 55-50. After losing that Saturday before to Greenfield High School by 41 points, they came out and picked up a huge victory that they end up winning. And I'll tell you, it really started to bring a lot of excitement back into the program. And their head coach, Darren Smith, said that this was a very exciting opportunity for us to be able to pull off this big win. You know, we've been working on a lot of stuff. We're starting to stick now. Things are starting to get better with the kids starting to understand what we need to do to try to win games and score points. And that's exactly what they did, is they picked up that big win. And it really came down to a couple of big numbers from big guys that night, including Jackson Hicks with 19 points, 13 from Anthony Moffitt. Also, Owen Cross ends up with 8 points for the Warriors, and Tyler Dubriel ends up with 7 in that big win for Mohawk. Well, last Monday, Pioneer took on Marhar. They picked up a big win. How about 13 three-pointers that were made in that game? That's right, including 11 of those between Garrett Cody and Troy Emond. Yeah, those two guys were the big stars in the game. You know, you got to tip your hat to a couple of great players, says the coach of Marhar, Chad Softic. He said that those two guys definitely had it going on, and they were hot. How about each of them scoring 50 points between them? They both had 25. You know, it's rare when you see two guys being able to do the same thing at 25 apiece, especially with those big numbers. Pioneer, only one loss on the year as of last Monday. Ryan Underwood and Zach Fox each had 6 in the win for Pioneer. Well, Turners Falls, the boys picked up a huge road win against Hopkins Academy. That was back last Monday, 71-59. Tyler Lavin, he was hot, boy. That guy was on fire. 27 points on the night. He couldn't miss it all if he tried. And right now, he's averaging just about 17 points a game. This year, he's really done some great things for this Turners team, and a big win for them over the Golden Hawks of Hopkins Academy. Anthony Peterson had 14, pulled down of 9 rebounds. Also, Chase Novak, double digits for the third game in a row with 16. Kyle Dodge tossed in 5 points in the win for the Thunder. Well, the Franklin County Tech School knocked off the Pioneer Valley Christian School back last Monday, and they had no answer, Pioneer Valley Christian Academy, for Garrett Cole. He was on fire. How about 23 points and 18 rebounds in the win? It was a nice win for the Tech. They have done pretty well this season, and their head coach, Tim Artis, first year, he's very pleased with the way his team is playing. He's very pleased with the way the team has been able to play together, the chemistry. The rebounding was very important for them in this win, so a nice job done by the Tech Eagles. He also said that Garrett made a point to go down low, fight for every rebound he could get, and of course, putting up 27 points. That's a pretty nice night as well. Also, Jared Bergman finished with 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in the win. Marcus Sanders gets 11 points, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Bailey Young also made his season debut off of an injury. He's back in action. 6 points, 3 steals, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. And Justin Littlewood ended up with 7 points. So nice job by the Tech. Well, the hot team here in the area continued to roll on. The Frontier Redhawks. In boys basketball, they knocked off Athol 52-28. Karsten Carey poured in 20 points as the host Frontier jumped out to a double-digit first quarter lead, and they never looked back. They are on fire right now. Peter Carey, his brother, ends up with 8 points, followed by Alex Sharp with 6 points, and Kalen Evans ends up with 5. Frontier rolls on. Well, a big congratulations goes out to Doug Hanieski. He hits 100 in the Wave victory. That's right. You know, when you think about how many times that you have to be able to score a point in hockey, it's a lot to get to that 100, as you know. So for every goal, you get a point. Every assist, you get a point. Well, this guy hit 100 for his career. And he did it on Monday night last week against Wacona High School, where the Wave picked up a 4-0 win. You know, Hanieski spent the first 2 years in Turner's Falls before they decided to get rid of their program, and that's where Greenfield ended up taking on the whole bulk of all of the Franklin County teams, okay? So what that means is that Greenfield is now the only representative of hockey in our area. The only great thing about that is that now all these kids that have been playing together since they were young are all getting the opportunity to play together. Hanieski ends up with that 100th point, 7 minutes and 40 seconds to play in the first period when he ended up scoring, so it worked out very well for him. The crowd were making these great signs that said 100 points, and the kids were going crazy when he did get his 100th point. Congratulations to Doug, and congratulations to the Wave on the nice win. You know, this is truly a very good program, and they just keep on rolling as well. How about Riley Drew? In the net, he ended up with 18 saves to register the shutout. In that Wacona Greenfield game, other guys who were able to get points, Kyle Barnes had a goal. Also, Brian Bauman ended up with 2 goals. Jacob Bryant with a goal. Bowie Harris ends up with an assist. Hanieski in there with the assist, and also Tony Wanzi with an assist too. In that Pioneer game, a couple of guys who didn't get mentioned. How about Jared Hubbard with 2 points in that win over Mahar? And Ryan Potter with 3 points, and Jaden Fox with 3 points. In that Turner's-Hopkins game that we talked about in basketball, Ryan Campbell with 4 points, and Jeremy Russell with 3 points, and Ryan Kaczynski with 2 points in the Turner's win. In that big win for Mohawk over Smith Academy, Sean Davenport ended up with 3 points in their game as well. Also, Will Guyette with 2, and Ruben Bassett with 3. In that game between Frontier and Athol, some of the other kids that were able to score that didn't make the early headlines were Gabe Kaczynski with 3 points, Gabe Jones-Thompson with 2 points. Also in there, Colin Boudreau with 2, Zach Nurminger ends up with 4, and Owen Wakowitz ends up with 2 for Frontier. So a very good day of sports last Monday. Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today, and we want to thank you so much for joining us. We do this every week right here on the TV for you. We also are online as well, gctv.org, also online at the FCAT at fcat.tv. And by the way, we want to thank our wonderful underwriters that have been able to help us out. They do this for us, and they have since we started. The 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls, and by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Well, as we continue on with the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, I am Bobby C. Want you to know that the balanced Panthers attack ends up turning out to be pretty good. And boy, in girls basketball, it was a big win for Pioneer over the Turner's girls, 47-23. It's now time for the girls' turn as they played on Tuesday. Well, the Panthers definitely off to a great start. Paige Loftman scored 7 of her career high 15 points in the first quarter to stake the Panthers to a nice 12-6 lead, and they never looked back. Matter of fact, Loftman ended up having the big night. She also had 10 rebounds and 6 steals. Olivia Rowe, she ended up with 11 points to go with 8 rebounds and 4 block shots. Alina Sechajanin ends up with 7 points to go with 5 rebounds. Steph Scoville had 6 points. Emily Tibbetts with 4 points. Abby Briggs chipped in with 5 rebounds. You know, when they spread it around and they play well, I tell you, Pioneer, they got a good program this season, and Meg Burrington's very proud of her girls. On the other side, Lindsay Whiteman ends up with 9 points for Turner's Falls. Allie Murphy and Dabney Rollins each had 4 in the loss. Pioneer was very pleased with only having 14 turnovers in that game, where before they were averaging 25. So things are getting better for the Panthers up there in Northfield. Well, Greenfield continued their winning ways with a nice 57-43 win over Mahar. Mahar's got a very good team, and Greenfield ends up winning. And they win convincingly, really. You know, even though it was only 14, it was still pretty convincingly because they were able to dominate in this game. And you know what it came down to? It came down to some great game planning that was done by the head coach of Mahar. And I'll tell you, this guy did a great job doing what he needed to do. The problem is one of the freshmen from Greenfield, Raquel Provost, stepped up in this game. She scored a career-high 18 points, where Greenfield, who was getting beat early, came all the way back, and then they started dominating in this one, and they win after being down at one time by 9. They end up winning by 14. So a big turnaround. Raquel was one of the reasons. Greenfield did exactly what you needed to do. What about Katie Hazelton? She ends up with 17 points. Reagan Hickey made it 15 points. Sam Smith, a tough night for her with 5 points, but because she was getting doubled down, that's why Raquel was wide open to be able to make a statement herself. But Coach Larry Fisher did an excellent job with his girls over at Mahar to be able to contain one of their main stars. Well, you know what that meant? That meant that Sam Smith only needed 20 points before she can get to 1,000. And we're going to talk about whether she got it or not on this show. Frontier, the girls end up beating Hopkins. Final score 53-45. Amelia Sobieski, how about this? 23 points to go with 14 rebounds and 4 block shots. That is a quality night right there. You know, that's going to work, as we say. Charlotte Doulette, she ends up with 12 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks. It was really an inside-outside game for Frontier. They did exactly what they needed to do. Caitlin Mackin ends up with 6 points to go with 11 rebounds. Olivia Dean had a pair of 3-pointers. She ends up with 6 points, and they end up winning. Frontier over Hopkins, 53-45. Well, it was a nice win for the Mohawk Warriors. The Lady Warriors end up winning over McCann Tech 47-37 on Tuesday night last week. It was a great team win, according to their head coach, Larissa Harrison. She says, we came out right from the start, did exactly what we needed to do. Everybody was doing what they needed to do to step up, and that's why we pulled off this victory. Grace Poplowski, Ashley Reynolds, 16 points apiece in the win. Stella Clark followed with a season-high 10 points. Grace Ward ends up with 3. She also had 8 blocks to pace the Mohawk Warriors. Nice win over a very good McCann Tech team who was 6-1 going into that game. Well, the Franklin County Tech Lady Eagles, they knocked off Pathfinder 53-39 behind the big effort of Jordan Herbert. That's right, her and Gemma Cruz, they did their job. How about a game-high 17 for Herbert? Also, Cruz ends up with a career-high 14 points. She also had a nice night with all kinds of other things, too, including steals, rebounds, and everything else. So Coach Knightley said that he was very pleased with the best game that these two ladies have had so far this season. And the best part about it is they picked up a win. Jocelyn Crowningshield ends up with 10 points. Isabel Duga ends up with 8 for the Franklin County Tech Lady Eagles. Well, in boys basketball on Tuesday, Greenfield took on Southwick. They end up picking up a 48-47 win. Nice win over at Nichols Gymnasium, and Mason Meadows scored 10 of his team-high 17 points in the fourth quarter. Greenfield ends up winning. It was a big win for them, and Angelo Thomas very pleased that the team was able to get it together near the end because they struggled shooting throughout this one. Hunter Campbell scored 8 points for the Wave. Danny Vega and Owen Phelps each had 7. The Wave continues their winning ways. Well, you know, there's great things that have happened this past week. We talked about Doug Hanieski, but what about in the pool? That's right, Turners Falls Jr. Cameron Bradley breaks a school record. Yes, he did. How about a record that has been sitting around over there at Turners Falls High School since the 1987-1988 season? That was when Wes Conger ended up having the record. Well, it got broken because Cameron Bradley etched his name into the program's record book, breaking the mark in the 100-yard butterfly, and they end up beating Sci Tech as well. He touched the wall with a time of 1 minute and 0.84 seconds, edging the old mark of 101.28. So a great job done by Cameron Bradley. Remember, folks, this kid is only a junior. He helps his team every time. He is their best swimmer. There's no doubt about it. You know, there's a lot of other guys who are getting it done too. How about him winning the backstroke with a time of 106.29? Also, their record looks good too, as they're, as of last week, 4-2. Bradley and his group of Nick Martin, Dom Carmi, and Jack Patala win the 200 medley race. Also, they end up winning the 400 relay too. And Patala had a nice strong outing on senior night when he won the 50 freestyle with a time of 29.18 seconds, followed by the 200 freestyle victory at 2 minutes 35 seconds, 0.18. So really, things are really done well. Will Turn ends up winning the 100 freestyle. Martin captured the 500 freestyle. And the girls picked up a win over Sci Tech as well, 43-22. Olivia Whittier, Allison Wheeler were both double winners. Whittier touched first in both the freestyle and the 100 breaststroke, while Wheeler was the winner in the 200 individual medley and the 100 freestyle. Jade Tyler gave them also a win in the 100 butterfly. Abigail Johnson ends up winning the 200 freestyle. Lillian Poirier ends up registering a victory in the 100 backstroke. The 200 medley race of Johnson, Whittier, Tyler, and Wheeler were first place as well. So nice job for our swim team over at Turners Falls. The lady and the boys, they really did it well. Congratulations to them all. As we talk about some of those extra folks that ended up having games that we talked about, we like to try to give everybody a chance to get their name here on the show. In that girls' game between Turners and Pioneer for Turners Falls, Carissa Fleming, 3 points. Lena Spiro with 1 and Lucy Spiro with 2. In that Pioneer game, Sarah Ellis also gets a couple of points, and Charlotte Collar ends up with a couple of points in the win for Pioneer. In that girls' game between Frontier and Hopkins, a couple of girls that didn't get named earlier, we have Marie Demon with 4 points and Ariana Walker with a couple of points in that nice win over Hopkins Academy. In that McCann Tech game with Mohawk, Reagan Dupree ends up with a couple of extra points as well. So that's really great. In that Greenfield game versus Mahar, Olivia Joy ends up with a couple of points. In that Greenfield Southwick boys game, we can tell you that Ryan Cody ended up with 2 points and Nate Hazelton ended up with a point, Jared Hart with 2, and Julius Brewington with 4. So a very nice job by our locals on Tuesday. Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We get together here on GCTV, also gctv.org. Don't forget about us on the FCAT down in South Deerfield as well at fcat.tv. You know, we get together with you each and every week to talk about our local varsity sports teams here in Franklin County. We have the 6 schools that we take care of each and every week. Pioneer, Turners, Greenfield, Franklin County Tech, Frontier, and Mohawk. Want to thank our underwriters here today, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. Thank our sponsors very much for being able to help provide the support that we need. Also, a big thank you to our producer. We have two of them. We have John Meisner and Philippe Simone. They are the best. As we continue on with the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, we jump into Wednesday. And it turned out to be a very nice day for the Eagles wrestling team at the Franklin County Tech School as they took a huge step to winning the Suburban League Northern Division title. That's right. They had to take on one of the teams that was right in their face, Mahar. They knocked off the Senators. Final score was 42-30. And really, it came down to some cool things that happened in this one for them to win. And that was coming up with a couple of big key matches. And that's all they needed to pick up the win. But if you ask their coach, they already are that close to being able to be the champions. He said, we're not done yet. We've got a couple more matches left to play. We got a season to go. We got kids that are going to get ready for Western Mass. We got kids that we're hoping to get to the States. We're not lying down. We're going to play just as hard as we did in week one as we are today. There will be no free falling for this team right now. It's time to continue to do the job at hand. And that's exactly what this team has been able to do. Josh Burnell picks up a pin at the 126-pound class. Colin Pettis, he also picked up a nice 45-second pin at the 132 weight class. Kyle Burnell, he ends up getting a pin, 29 seconds at the 138-pound class. Noah Fuse picks up a 6-4 decision at the 145-pound class. Also, things continued on. Tim Fritz ends up winning. He had a nice pin at 115. He ended up moving up from the 160 to the 170 class. So he took on even a bigger youngster and still was able to prevail. Also, Peter Tannen ends up winning at 182. So a really nice job that was done by the Tech team. And don't forget about Aiden Stacy. He picked up a second period pin as well at 195. Walker Picard, he ends up pinning 9 seconds at 220 to finish out the match. And I'll tell you, Coach Gamache, very pleased with his guys. Well, the Frontier team pulled off a nice win, 48-27 in wrestling as they won 5 matches by pin, 3 more by forfeit. They beat Granby 48-27. Nitschka ends up earning a 44-second pin at the 113-pound class. Also, Brady Finch picked up a 26-second pin at 120. Spencer Mabalis ends up winning the 126 class with a pin at 48 seconds. And it just got better from there. Nate Austin earning a 50-second pin at 195, and Jackie Frong ends up winning with a pin at 150 at the 285-pound class. Mohawk took a tough lump. They got beat by Athol 64-12. Just a couple of guys who were able to get things done. Quentin Romer scored a second period pin. He ends up winning at 152, and Mason Bianchi ends up winning at the 170-pound class with a pin at 125. Well, in boys basketball on Wednesday last week, it was Pioneer with a win over Dugan. Final score was 70-56. I'll tell you right now, these two teams were tied at halftime, but it was a big second half by Pioneer that gave them the win. You know, if you talk to their head coach there said, listen, we started to play a little more fundamental in the second half. We didn't try to rush. We didn't panic. We weren't traveling. We weren't making mistakes with turnovers. We were doing things the right fundamental way. And that's exactly how they were able to pull off the win. Garrett Cody ends up with 24 points to go with 7 assists, 6 steals on the day. Jaden Fox, who was averaging 4.1 points per game, how about him? He doubled that, ends up with 8 points in the game. And he was very excited about how he ended up doing in this one. Zach Fox finished with 16 points, 9 boards. Troy Iman, 9 points and 11 rebounds as Pioneer continues their winning ways. Well, the Mohawk boys continued another big victory for them as they knocked off Mount Everett. 43-28 after knocking off Smith Academy. They come back, pick up their second win in a row. After a really tough start, they really have been playing some good basketball. And Coach Darren Schmidt's very pleased with the way the kids are playing right now. Anthony Moffitt, Owen Cross each scored 11. Also, Reuben Bassett added 6 in the win for the Warriors. As we have a chance to be able to go through some of the stats here, let's talk about some of the other folks that weren't mentioned with points in that Pioneer game. Jake Fuller ends up with a couple of points, and Liam Curtis with 5. Also in that Mohawk Mount Everett game, Sean Davenport with a couple of points. Jackson Hicks with 4. Tyler Dubriel with 5. Cam Lococo with 2. Will Guyette with 2. And there you go. A nice day on Wednesday and a nice win again for the Mohawk boys basketball team. Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. Boy, we are having some fun as we be able to share all these great sports feats that have been happening and the improvements that some of these teams are doing. Want to thank our underwriters here today, the 4 Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by our friends at Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls, and by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield. I am your host, Bobby C. We get together each and every week right here on GCTV, also at gctv.org. We're also available on Facebook for you. We put it right up there for everybody to see on Wednesday nights. And don't forget, you can go to the FCAT too. Oh, yes, you can, 24/7, fcat.tv. As we get ourselves into Thursday here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, we start talking about a new season for our folks on the hill. What hill is that? How about the hill at Berkshire East in Charlemont? Yes, it's skiing for boys and girls. And after a stellar freshman year last year, no surprise to see Taylor Loomis near the top of the standings. Just one race into the season, Mohawk Trail Regional sophomore has already made a serious statement as she ended up blitzing the field, literally, on Thursday. She takes first place overall on the girls' side, skiing the slalom at 35.48 seconds at Berkshire East. You know, that time was 1.50 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Think about that. That is really quick. Great job by Taylor Loomis. Now, Frontiers, Corianne Delaney, who's one of the top skiers in the area, she ended up getting in there as well. She, the junior, got the runner-up honors with a time of 36.98 seconds. She was the one that was 1.50 seconds behind Taylor Loomis. Also in third place, Chloe Lucier, a girl from St. Mary's. She did really well too, but Loomis, it was all about her. She ended up being the big skier of the day. Not only that, but there was a couple of her teammates that did well too, as the Mohawk girls did very well. Erin LaFond ends up in 16th overall with a time of 45.19 seconds. That was really good because it was 10th place in the northern standings. But you got to remember now, there's a lot of skiers that go up there to be able to ski in all the divisions when they're up there at Berkshire East. Also, Emily Sissom ends up right behind, 17th overall, 11th in the north, 7th grader. That's right, she's only a 7th grader. Her first varsity race ends up with a time of 46.31 seconds. Great job, Emily. Very proud to be able to mention your name here today for the first time on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Frontiers, Ariana Hillman. She ends up impressing her first race of the season as the freshman. Ends up doing well, 13th overall. Ends up with a time of 44.02 seconds. She was 8th in the northern standings as well. Maddie Raymond tied for 30th overall. She finished 16th in the northern with a time of 56.04 seconds. Callie Price was number 4 for the Red Hawks Thursday, thanks to a 41st overall position, 24th in the north with a time of 1 minute and 3 seconds. And also Maya Grant nabbed 35th place for Mohawk, 21st in the north with a time of 1 minute and 44 seconds. Also, 4-score Lydia Sargent wasn't far behind, 45th, 27th in the North with a time of 104.90 seconds. Warriors, very impressive. The girls did excellent. How about the boys? Well, they got two guys who know how to get it done, man, and they are two of the best, and I'm saying this, best skiers in all of Western Massachusetts, and that's Danny White and Bennett Bosias. Both very talented veterans who've been able to get it done. They both did what they needed to do to be able to get the team up top as well. So congratulations to the Mohawk boys on having a big night. And, you know, to be able to put 5 of their skiers in the top 34 says how well this team has done. A couple of the guys who were able to join Bosias and also White were Nick Stravino, ends up in 3rd. He ended up doing very well as the 3rd scoring Mohawk Warrior. Also, a 7th grader by the name of Weston Den Oden. He ends up 31st place for Mohawk. Nice job by him. Michael Harrison from Mohawk ends up 34th. So a couple of kids who did a wonderful job for this Mohawk team. Now, Frontier had 2 also very impressive skiers who have been able to get things done. And one of the names you're going to hear me mention throughout the year is Ben Martino. He just missed the top 10. He ended up 22nd overall, 11th in the South. He ended up with a time of 27.77. Also, his teammate, Ben Majewski, ends up with a time of 29.81 seconds for Frontier. Well, in hockey, it was Greenfield with a big win over Chicopee Comp, 3-1. Nice job for the Wave as they continue on. They are playing some awesome hockey. And I'll tell you, they were down in this one 1-0, came all the way back with 3 unanswered goals. How about 2 of those goals by Jacob Bryant? The kid has got a laser. And also, Kevin Bauman played the puck. Yep, his brother Brian Bauman ends up with a nice assist. And there you go, man. These guys know how to get it done. And Greenfield picks up another victory. They outshot Chicopee Comp 43-18 in the game. How'd our friend Riley Drew do? Well, he only let up that 1 goal, right? Ends up with 17 saves, his 3rd consecutive game of allowing 1 goal or fewer for the Wave. So let's talk about Kyle Barnes. He ends up with a nice point. Kevin and Brian, also Doug Hanieski gets a goal. So these guys are all stepping it up. Nice job. Very, very impressive Greenfield High School hockey team. Well, the Franklin County Tech took on Cy Tech in girls basketball back on Wednesday of last week, and it turned out to be a very impressive win for them. That was Thursday night, sorry. And Jordan Hurlbert had a big offensive night to propel the Tech school to a nice win. So congratulations to them. Coach Knightley said he's very impressed with the way the team's starting to play right now. Matter of fact, they were really struggling. Now they're almost at 500 at 4-5, and they also are 2-1 in the league. Also, Isabel Duga ends up joining the double-digit ride with 13 points for the Tech school. Gemma Cruz, she ended up tossing in 7. Well, got to tell you, when you start thinking about how good some of these teams are, look about Greenfield. Greenfield boys basketball. You know, they have a brand new head coach this year in Angelo Thomas. He was at Hopkins Academy, coach of the year, many years, championship after championship, great team. Well, all of a sudden, he comes up to Greenfield this year. They 6-2 on the year as of Thursday. That's right, 6-2 as of Thursday, Greenfield High School basketball. And I'll tell you, one of the guys who really stepped it up for them and did a great job was Julius Brewington. You know, he ended up having a great night. Hunter Campbell had a great night too. Owen Phelps had a great night. You know, Mason Meadows and Danny Vega each scored a few points too. Green Wave rolling on in boys basketball. Only a few wins away from that magic 10. 10 wins get you in to the playoffs. Frontier took on Smith Academy. Wow. The Flying Redhawks. And I call them flying because they fly through the air. They have big men, 3 trees that are up in the sky. And when you try to shoot, they knock you down. That is Frontier basketball. 72-33, big win over Smith Academy. You know, their coach, Ben Barszewski, will tell it to you straight. Teams know how to get it done, man. We're getting it done. Night after night, guys are stepping it up. And to be able to break the 70-point mark for the third time this season says something about the scoring at Frontier, too. Big night. Good old Karsten Carey. You know, he doesn't have to be the star every night. There can be other guys who can step up and get things done. How about this? Owen Morris, 21 points on the night. Alex Sharp, 14. Karsten Carey, the big guy they've been talking about, hey, he settled for 9 that night. His brother Peter ends up with 6. That's okay, because there's other guys who are stepping it up each and every night. You don't need to be the star all the time. Frontier continues on. They're winning ways. They're going to be a tough team to beat in the upcoming tournament this winter. Turners Falls takes on Belchertown. Nice win for Turners Falls. Earlier in the week, they knocked off a nice Hopkins team. They win again. They beat Belchertown 64-54. How about Chase Novak? Comes back from mono. He's starting to get back into his own. 27 points on the night to lead the Thunder to get them back to 500 at 5-5. It's a big win for them. They needed that. You know, it's nice to see guys step up and get things done. You know, another sharpshooter who's been able to get things done is Tyler Lavin, ends up with 13. Anthony Peterson ends up with 15 and 10 rebounds. Nice win for the Thunder. Well, the Franklin County Tech boys continue their winning ways with a 67-52 win over Smith Vocational School. The Eagles are off to a great start. They are. They're 6-3. Nice start for them. They're looking good, only a few wins away from that magic 10. A lot of guys have been able to step it up for this team. One guy who had a great game, though, was Marcus Sanders. Ends up with a season-high 23 points to go with 5 assists, 2 steals for the Eagles. It was another big game for him. Marcus ended up doing exactly what Coach Ardis was hoping for. Jared Bergman ends up with 12 points to go with 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Bailey Young hit 3 three-pointers for 11 points. Garrett Cole had a big night for the Eagles with 9 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, and check this out, 7 steals. Wow. Nice win for the Tech over Smith Vocational. Let's run down how some of these other folks did in these games. In that Greenfield Athol boys basketball game, other guys who were able to step it up, Jake Sack with 2 points, Ryan Cody with 2 points, Jared Hart with 2 points, and Cam Baird with a point for the Wave. In that Belchertown Turners Falls game, Jeremy Russell with 2 points, Ryan Kaczynski with 6 points, Jaden Whiting with a point for the Turners Falls Thunder. So really, things are going great right now for a lot of our locals, getting closer to that number 10 in basketball to get ready for postseason play. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We get together with you each and every week right here on GCTV. And you know, the nice thing about this show is that we're able to showcase the nice things that these kids are doing on and off the court. You know, we've talked about how great our student athletes have been. We talk about the great stats and all the kids that are contributing to help their teams. But boy, we're going to get right into something pretty special for you in just a moment. And that is after we thank our underwriters, the 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, by Sean Hubert and Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls, and by our friends over at Albert Hearing Services. Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Well, Friday night, I had a chance to be a part of Greenfield history. At least I was a part of watching the history as Greenfield High School's Samantha Smith proved why she is an incredible athlete here in our area. She is now going to be in the rafters for the rest of her life at Greenfield High School as a 1,000-point scorer. She ends up hitting her 20 points that she needed. That's right, folks. She was playing against a very good player in Olivia Rowe and this Pioneer Panthers girls team, and she got it done. 20 points, and still sat out 9.5 minutes in the game where Greenfield absolutely blew out Pioneer 79-49. 46 in front of a huge crowd at Nichols Gymnasium. It was huge on Friday night. I was so glad to be able to announce the game on Bear Country 95.3. It was so fun for me and Jeff Terrell to be a part of some history as Sam did what she does best. Well, when she ended up getting her 1,000th point, we stopped the game, the horn blew, crowd went crazy, signs everywhere, balloons. It was a really special moment for Sam Smith. And I'm going to tell you what, she's a scholar athlete as well, but she's also a wonderful kid. That's right. You're talking about an honor roll student, great kid, great athlete, Sam Smith of Greenfield High School hit the milestone of 1,000 points. Many more points to come in her career, though, but it was a special night, Friday, at Nichols Gymnasium. You know, the funny part is in that game, you'd think that when you're looking for 20 points and you know everybody's there for you, that you're just going to grab the ball and just do that. Well, that's not her play. She's not that type of a person. She's not the selfish basketball player. She's the one who's all about the team, and that's exactly why we love Sam Smith. You know, I want you to know that she is going to be in the rafters with some other folks at Greenfield High School. She's joined by Ambrizette, who has 1,333 points in her career. She graduated in 1990. Kelly Doughton, back in the year 2000, had 1,168 points. Kathy Kuchar of Greenfield, back in 2002, had 1,108 points. Reagan Hickey is still playing. She's in her senior year. She has a chance to break the all-time record for girls at Greenfield High School, which she will definitely do. And the only boy that's in the rafters at GHS is the head coach of Greenfield High School right now, Angelo Thomas. In 1993 is when he graduated. He graduated with this incredible stat, 1,684 career points at Greenfield High School. So congratulations to Sam Smith and her team on the big win. Now, you know, when you really think about what Sam was able to do, you have to say, where did it all start for her? Well, it really started for her back in 4th and 5th grade. And then she started playing AAU basketball. And then she decided that she wanted to become a field hockey player too. And she has been the goalie for the field hockey team at GHS. She also is the shortstop for their great softball team as well. And she hits bombs. I mean, she can hit bombs. She is so strong. She's so athletic. And now she's in the rafters at GHS. You know, I want you to know that it was a special night for her, picking up 20 points. Reagan Hickey picks up 18, but how about a couple of other girls that really stepped it up in this one? And you know, one of those girls was Katie Hazelton. Katie Hazelton ended up with a huge night for Greenfield as well. A couple of other girls that were in there too were Raquel Provost and Eva Pruitt-Dahl. They did well in the win as well for Greenfield. Olivia Rowe had 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 blocks for Pioneer. A nice day's work for her. Paige Loftman, she tossed in 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Steph Scoville had 9 points and 6 boards in the loss for Pioneer. This Greenfield team, they are just totally legit. Well, after scoring 23 points earlier in the week, what about the hot play of Amelia Sobieski? She ends up riding high in her big win on Friday night as they knocked off Hopkins Academy. Nice job. They win 71-56. Their season high, 71 points on the year, was beautiful. You know, Sobieski, she has just been hot. Ends up with 29 points, her career high, as they end up picking up a big win. Nice job right there by Sobieski. She was definitely the player of the game. You know, if you look at the way this team's playing right now, they are really getting it done. Really impressed with this Frontier Redhawks team right now. Coach Recor is too. You ask Coach Recor about what he thinks of his team right now, he'll tell you straight up that these girls are really starting to play well. You know, they're starting to be able to play so good now that they're making other teams make mistakes. And that's how you win games. You have to play that good defense. Just remember, once you score, the other team gets the ball, right? It's not like when you're playing street ball where you score a three-pointer and you say, okay, give me the ball back. I'm up again. Let's go. Oh, no. This is team basketball, baby. You get down there, you score your points, you get back, you play some defense, you make stops, and you continue to do what you do to be able to win the game. Well, this Frontier Redhawks team is doing that right now. Caitlin Mackin finished with 12 points, 12 rebounds for Frontier. Charlotte Doulette, she ended up having a double-digit game too. How about 12 points and 10 rebounds? Nice double-double for her. Marie Demon with 7 points and Olivia Dean with 6 for the Lady Redhawks as they are playing good basketball. Well, another game was between Smith Academy girls and Turner's Falls. Smith Academy wins 55-43. Big rebuilding year going on right now in Turner's Falls. Let's talk about that for a minute. You know, last year, you think about that Turner's team, they had all those great seniors. They ended up doing some nice things. They made tournament the last couple of years. Well, they had girls that played on the team but didn't get a lot of playing time because of that senior-laden class. You know, you look at who they had. They had Maddie Chimzinski. They had Chloe Ellis. They end up having Aaliyah Sanders. They had girls who were able to stay and do those starting roles and got a lot of playing time. So some of these girls that are playing right now were on the team but didn't get a lot of playing time for Turner's Falls. So this is a real rebuilding year for their team as they're still looking for their first victory of the season. Dabney Rollins finished with a team-high 13 points for the Thunder. She got a balanced effort as well by a few other girls who did good. Lucy Spiro with 8 points, Carissa Fleming with 7, Lindsay Whiteman and Haley Bogus each added 6 in the loss to Smith Academy on Friday night. Well, Putnam knocked off Mohawk 43-21. You know, there was a lot of problems that happened with being able to find the lid for the Mohawk team in the second half of this one, and it ended up coming back to get them as they end up losing 43-21. The Beavers ended up getting the best of them. They are 6-2 on the year, Putnam is, and Mohawk is now 6-3. Grace Ward had a big night for Mohawk, though, 4 points, but how about this? 11 block shots and 12 rebounds. That's a great day's work for Grace Ward. Also, Ashley Reynolds finished with 6 points, Grace Poplowski with 5 points, and Stella Clark with 4. I'll tell you, this Mohawk team, if they can continue to score some points, they're able to play good D. They're going to be able to start winning more games. They've already got 3 under their belt this season. Want to run down some of the other girls who got in some of the action there in that game where Sam Smith scored her 1,000 points. In that game between Greenfield and Pioneer, Christina Reed ends up with 4 points. Kelsey Richardson ends up with 2 points. Kelsey's one of my buddies. I love Kelsey. In girls basketball, in that Mohawk Putnam victory, there are a couple of other girls who got in there too. One of them was Tess Rancourt with a couple of points for her team. Also, in that Pope Francis Frontier girls game, there's Ariana Walker who picked up a couple of extra points, and Marcy Ring ends up with 3 for Frontier. In that Turner Smith Academy game, Lily Spira ends up with 3 points for the Thunder. So, you look at where things are at right now. You look at how things have gone. Things have gone very, very well for our locals. We should be very pleased with how things are going. You know, you look at the girls skiing, you got the Mohawk girls and the Frontier girls that are dominating the North, and they continue to do that this past week. In the boys in the North, you know, the top team, Mohawk Trail, a couple of great players that know how to get it done, that can ski. You got Bositis and also Danny White, so 2 guys who just know how to get things done. These guys continue their winning ways and just prove to be the reason why Mohawk is a team to be reckoned with. A couple of scores I want to share with you in girls winter track and boys winter track. Don't have any individual stats. I only have scores that I can share with you, unfortunately. That's what we seem to have a problem with every winter. We don't get a chance to get a lot of those stats, which I wish we did. But Greenfield ends up beating Cy Tech 88-6. It was in boys track. It was Pioneer beating Bay State Academy 79-8. In boys winter track, Greenfield over Cy Tech, 77-17. So there you go, an opportunity for us to mention scores. These teams have done very well in winter track. Well, as we start to wind down our week and we get ready to wind it down, we get back into talking about how things went over the weekend, a couple of weekend games. And one of those was hockey, where the Green Wave, who was down 2-0, came all the way back and scored 3 goals and picks up a 3-2 win over South Hadley on the road in Holyoke. They end up winning 3-2. Nice win for them. Big congratulations goes out to the Wave. They have just been able to just continue to dominate this league. And I'm telling you, they have been able to do it because of great players that are stepping it up and doing what they need to do to help their team. And I just want to say that here's how it all began. The Green Wave, after being down 2-0, answered 11 seconds after their second goal was scored by South Hadley. Doug Hanieski set up Brian Bauman for the Wave's first goal. 6 minutes later, 2:08 to play in the frame, Doug Hanieski took a pass near center ice and ends up beating the defenseman from South Hadley. He scores and buries a backhander, 2-2. And then Bauman and O'Sullivan each got assists in that one. And in the third period, they had a chance to get that last goal. Well, they got it done. And congratulations, the Wave picks up the 3-2 win. Riley Drew ends up with 14 saves for Greenfield as they outshot the Tigers 33-16. You know, you look at some of these guys and how they've been able to play, they are tough kids. You know, I want to say it's nice when a coach can give other kids credit that don't get a lot. You know, he gave credits to Jake Croto and also to Adam Savoy, saying that they both had strong games. He said Jake probably had the best game for us with lots of body and tremendous back checking. He really played well in the defensive zone. Adam has been playing well for us this season too. Greenfield continues on. They will have a game that they will play this next week against Drury High School. The Wave is yet to lose this season. Well, in wrestling, we can mention that there was a couple of tournaments that went on over the weekend. You know, these kids do a lot of tournaments throughout New England. Matter of fact, the Franklin County Tech School ended up placing 10th out of 18 teams throughout New England at a special tournament that they were involved in. And the nice thing is 4 of the 10 wrestlers placed in the top 4 of their respective weight classes. Brody Wood went 3-1 on the day at 170. Nice job for him. Also, there was a couple of other guys who stepped it up, like Kyle Burnell, 4-1 on the day at 138, finished 3rd overall. You know, I'm telling you, Kyle Burnell is having a great year. What about Walker Picard? Another great year for him, too. He took 3rd place on the day at 220. He went 3-1. Nice job from him. Also, Joshua Burnell went 2-2 at the 120-pound class. And Noah Fuse went 2-2 on the day at the 145-pound class. Mohawk was over at Taconic High School. A couple of guys who stepped it up for them included Mason Bianchi. He ends up with a nice win at the 170-pound weight class, ends up 3-0 on the day, opens up with a nice pin and a couple of nice match victories. Quentin Romer ends up finishing 3rd at the 152-pound class, where he went 3-1 on the day. Well, there you have it. What a week. What a lot of fun it was to be able to share all this information. 3 milestones from 3 different athletes here in 1 week. Let's talk about these 3 one more time. We have Sam Smith, 1,000-point scorer, girls basketball at Greenfield High School. Doug Hanieski, the 100-point club over at the Greenfield High School hockey team. And what about Cam Bradley? Cam Bradley, he ends up breaking the record that was from Wes Conger from the 1987-1988 season in boys swimming. 3 huge things that happened this week, and you got it here first on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. As we say goodbye for another week, I'm Bobby C. Want to say one last time a big thank you to our underwriters here today, the 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston. Also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. Also to our producers, Philippe Simone, John Meisner, our friends at GCTV and the FCAT in South Deerfield. Thank you, Chris Collins. Just remember, folks, 24/7 online, gctv.org and at FCAT. That's FCAT.tv. Until we do it again next week, I'm Bobby C. Thank you so much. And remember, support your local athletes.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.